Welcome back. The next learning unit we were covering is South Asia. And let's go ahead and take a look at South Asia. And primarily we're talking about the country of India and its neighbors. Two significant neighbors, Pakistan and Bangladesh, and some more mountainous neighbors like Afghanistan and some of the what they call the mountain states, and a few island countries that we'll discuss in detail. Let's get some regional context here. So in the last section we covered North Africa, Southwest Asia, up to about the country of Iran. And as we go further east, we get into the region of South Asia. And the large South Asia is going to be India. We have Afghanistan here, which is sort of it could be sort of an either one. It's a transitional zone. These are some concepts, ideas, and terms from the chapter. Make sure you know these, even if we don't cover them in lecture. A little bit on population, that India is the second largest country in the world with about 1.3 billion people, second only to China. And if you look at these graphs here, the China is pretty light, but if you look at the growth of India compared to China, one thing you might notice that if you project into the future that India within this century will be the largest country in the world because it has higher population growth than China does. China is the largest country in the world. India is just behind it as second, and then a ways behind those two are the United States, which is the third largest country. Now, because India is so big, it gets a lot of attention, but even its neighbors, Pakistan and Bangladesh, are very large countries. Pakistan has about double the population of Egypt, which is the largest country in the Middle East, and with Bangladesh not too far behind. As we get into the more mountainous areas, it drops off quite a bit. Let's start off with a little of the physical geography. This is a map of tectonic plates, and if you notice this one here, it's called the Indian plate, and the Indian plate is actually separate from the Eurasian plate. So what we consider Europe and Asia as a single landmass, India is actually a separate landmass that has over time collided with the Eurasian landmass. So long ago, India, which was a separate part of Pangaea, broke away and traveled north fairly quickly, millions of years. I mean, we talk quickly, it's like the growth rate of fingernails. It's very slow, but over tens of millions of years, it moved in its position, eventually colliding with the Eurasian landmass and creating the Himalayan mountains. And there are some other effects as well. I'm going to include a video talking about the formation of the Himalayas and the monsoons, but also note that it talks about Deccan traps. The Deccan traps are a mass of lava that covered India over time and created a large flat plateau. That Deccan traps is also known as the Deccan Plateau. So as India traveled northward and made its way towards the Eurasian continent, as it did, it closed, this is called the Tethys Ocean, which disappeared underneath and became part of the Himalayas as the two continents collided together. So first I want to highlight some physical features. First is the Deccan Plateau. This is created before the collision with Eurasia and caused by heavy amounts of volcanic activity. The result is a large and relatively flat plateau of high elevation that is exclusively in India. This covers much of southern India. In the north, you have, between India and China and some others, you have the Himalayan mountains. These are the largest mountain ranges on Earth, or the highest mountain ranges on Earth. And similarly, you have associated mountain ranges around the sides, such as the Hindu Kush mountain ranges, which extend through the middle of Afghanistan. Now, one reason why I want to highlight these physical features is that what's more important is what's in between these physical features, and that's going to be the lower elevation river valleys. These three here. One is the Indus River. The Indus River is the primary river in Pakistan. It's where the name India comes from, but now no longer sits in India, and it's in Pakistan. And we're going to talk about why that is. Pakistan and India used to be the same country, but were separated from each other fairly recently. But the Indus River is the primary river now in Pakistan. The primary river in India is the Ganges River. This is called the Ganges Plain or the Ganges River Valley that lies between the Deccan Plateau down here and the Himalayas to the north. The Ganges and some other rivers spill out into an area called the Ganges Delta. The Ganges Delta is primarily in the country of Bangladesh. If you remember from the take-home assignment 2, one of the countries where t-shirts were made were in Bangladesh. And part of the Ganges Delta is also in parts of India as well. India is sort of right around Bangladesh in this area. So this is a figure showing population density in India and China. And if you'll notice these red colors, this is the Ganges Delta along the Indus River and into the Ganges River, the Ganges Delta, and the Indus River over here. And these are some of the most heavily populated parts of South Asia. We'll take a look at these parts of China, but we have a similar situation there as well that we'll look at next week. If we zoom out and take a view of the world, you can see how India and China are some of the most densely populated places in the world, and including, you can see here, this is the Ganges Plateau, the Ganges River Valley, the Ganges Delta, and the Indus River Valley. These are some of the most densely populated places on Earth. Another effect of the formation of the Himalayas has been the creation of the Asian monsoon, or the intensification of the Asian monsoon. And here, this is showing winds traveling from the ocean up into the Ganges River Valley, and then also up against the Deccan Plateau. And what's happening is that there is a change of wind direction that happens between the winter and the summer. In the winter, there's what's called a pressure system over Asia that pushes the air outward and causes dry conditions. And then those reverse during the summertime. You have the continent's up, the air is rising, and it's drawing in over from the ocean, bringing heavy amounts of rainfall. So what we see is, rather than a situation like in a tropical rainforest, is an environment that's wet but has a wet and dry season. This is the dry season in the wintertime and the wet season during the summertime. So just to recap, monsoons are a seasonal shifting of winds that we find good examples of in Asia, and particularly in South Asia. These are winds that blow either from the land to the sea. Let's start with this. They blow from the sea to the land during the summer, causing wet weather. So in Fresno, when we have dry weather, they have very wet weather. And likewise, during the wintertime, the winds shift and blow in the opposite direction from the land out to the sea, causing more dry weather. Here's another figure showing the different monsoons. So in the summer, the air is coming from the ocean into India, bringing heavy amounts of rainfall, and then reverses itself in the wintertime. We'll take a look at China's later on. Here's a view of a heavy soaked monsoon in this part of India. And this is a climate graph. This is showing the amount of rainfall from the winter into the summer and back to winter again for a couple locations that are examples of this monsoon pattern. So here you have pretty dry conditions in the winter as the air is moving from the land to the ocean. But as the air moves in from the ocean, you have extremely heavy rainfall events.